Welcome to the regular board meeting for the Pontiac School District. Thank you all for being here, taking your time for being here. Madam Secretary, when you're ready, can you please take roll call for the regular board meeting? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Oh, we are live. Okay, welcome those at home as well. Thank you. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll call?
Yes. Trustee Bowman. Present. Trustee Kraft.
Here.
Trustee David Smith. Present. President Garrett.
Present.
VP Gross.
Present.
I am here. And Treasurer Terry.
Present.
7-0.
All right, thank you. Can we stand for the pledge of allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion on the floor to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
So moved by Trustee David Smith, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, and concerns to approval of the agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Trustee David Smith. Yes. President Garrett.
Yes.
VP Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
And Trustee Bowman. Yes. Passes 7-0.
All right, awesome. Now that we have an approved agenda, we're going to move down to one of our favorite parts of our agenda. We like to start off our meetings recognizing our staff and our students, and we have a wonderful student today under award and recognition. I want to turn it over to the superintendent. It's going to be recognition of Conley Bowman, Pontiac High School student.
I do apologize, I do not have the mic, so I'll try to
Hold on one
speak
second.
as loud as possible. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So the board has charged administration to recognize staff and students at every board meeting to celebrate and showcase the excellence that we have throughout our district. Today, we are honored to celebrate Conley Bowman. We have a certificate of distinction. This certificate is proudly presented to Conley Bowman in recognition of his hard work in recent NWEA reading assessment scores. That is our assessment that we provide locally in our district as a dipstick to see how our students are doing academically in English language arts as well as math. As a sophomore at Pontiac High School, his score was equivalent to that of a four-year college student. Four-year college student. He is a great student overall who maintains a 3.4 GPA, has an excellent attendance record, and exemplifies model behavior. Keep up the great work, Conley. Signed by myself, Kelly Williams, as the superintendent, Gil Garrett, Board of Education president. We have the principal, Mr. Montgomery, here, as well as Conley's father. Are you his father? And so we just want to congratulate all of you. Conley, if you can please come up to receive your certificate.
Yeah.
This is a certificate from the Board of Education. We thank you and we celebrate you today. Would you like to say anything?
All I have to say is that thank you all for this opportunity, and I'll let you to think of my dad help me get here.
I appreciate his hard work and attendance, and thank you all for helping him get to where he's at. I hope he keeps going.
Mr. Conley, if you would stay, or if you have any comments for Mr. Conley. Trustee Kraft.
First of all, when you were reading this, superintendent, I was checking the father out. The father was about to cry over here. And you ought to be proud. You ought to be proud. These are great stories that we have here in our Pontiac School District. And exemplifies just what type of father you are. And, that's a reflection of you. And thank you. Congratulations.
All right, trustee Bowles.
Thank you, Dad, and thank you, Connolly, for doing such an excellent job. It's so often you hear things about the students of Pontiac School District, and oftentimes it is not favorable. So this definitely shows that Pontiac has continued to show greatness, and thank you so much for being an excellent student and that aptitude that you have. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Trustee Terry.
I want to say, first off, congratulations, all the hard work and everything you did, but that's a major accomplishment. I mean, major accomplishment. I want you to continue to keep up the good work. And as always, I'm looking to hear stories about you in the future. So don't forget about us. I want to tell Dad, thank you for installing your son here in the Pontiac School District and having that confidence and belief in us. And I wish you guys the best. And like I say, in the future, come back, let us know your stories, and we'll let her hear that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Trustee President Gross.
Thank you. You know, Marcus, once again, stole what I wanted to say. Thank you for trusting us with your son. And then he believed in the school that he's in. And thank you for the fine job you're doing with the children over there. And lastly, there she is. I want us to, just a suggestion, Mr. President, if we can get a neon sign that says Pontiac, that flashes. So when the kids are coming up, we can put it there, and it'll always say where they're from. Pontiac, Pontiac, and just let it flash. Then I won't have to ask the question, son, what school district are you from?
Pontiac High School.
Say it again.
Pontiac High School.
One more time.
Pontiac High School.
That's what I'm talking about. So, if we had that neon lights on the camera whenever a kid come up, it just says Pontiac. You know how you see the ticker tape on the TV? Just flash Pontiac. Not West Brookfield. That's not Lake Orion.
Here we go.
Pontiac.
One of them meetings.
Thank you. Mr. Bowman, thank you.
All right, I think, Sue, did you have anything else you wanted to say? Okay. I think, board trustees have said it all. Thank you again. I appreciate you. I will say, my personal comments to closing comments, but thank you so much, for entrusting us. There are some wonderful things that's happening over at Pontiac High. The principal has stayed committed, not just because he was there, but stayed committed in his new role. So as we see more that comes out, as we introduce more that comes out of Pontiac High, thank you for the leadership over there. Again, parents trust. We're going to always have naysayers. That's why we tell our story first. So, sir, thank you so much for giving me something to brag about across the state. Again, thank you. All right, we're going to move down to recognition of elected officials. No, I'm sorry. We're going to take a 5-minute recess because this is the time we get to take a moment to congratulate Mr. Bowling personally. So we're going to take a 5-minute recess and be back at 6:17. Thank you so much.
They're gonna take a picture.
We're going to take a picture right here. Okay.
How are you?
I'm always on that side. I'm going on that side. We always say sit down. No. We good?
Oh, I thought Alicia, you take a picture.
Yeah, she working. You gonna be like Frank now. Come on.
She working.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the life, all right?
That red button, the red one, right on the mixer. On the mixer.
Turn it up or down?
Just cut it down just a little bit.
You wanted to be loud today.
Oh, down. Cut it down just, okay, cut it up just a little bit, right there, okay, thanks. I was trying to get reverb back in. Awesome. Okay. That ready to get started early? No? Okay. Ms. White?
Mhm. Go.
We live?
No, it's on pause. Listen.
That's what I was asking. We're ready.
Yes.
So you supposed, are we live?
You gotta count down like 1 minute.
Lord Jesus.
Man. I know y'all was gonna get me on that one. I know y'all was gonna get me. Those welcome at home, I appreciate you so much for being back with us. I don't think you ever left us, but thank you for being back. I hope y'all heard.
It was on pause.
I hope y'all heard everything that this board was saying.
It was on pause.
So thank you so much for being back. I hope you subscribe and like to everything we share. What we're doing here in the Pontiac School District, this is a board. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have fun. We're not going to be stiff as it relates to talking about the expressive and powerful things that we're doing on behalf of students, right? That's not boring. That is not stiff. So that's just, I don't know what to tell you. It's probably not something you want to watch. So we have another presentation that's, no, I'm sorry, recognition of elected officials. That's what I'm at. Any elected officials? Okay. I see 6 here. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thank y'all for being here. Move down to consent agenda. Madam Secretary, if you could take roll call, please.
Trustee Davis Smith. Yes. President Garrett.
Yes.
VP Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Bowman. Yes. And Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay. Awesome. We're going to move down to superintendent's report. School district financial achievement presentation presented Mr. Robert W. Beard and Company and Inc. Superintendent, the meeting is yours. And that's why I was excited about getting to this.
Yes, we're excited to have our lifelong partner
Absolutely.
that has been here since 2013. I call him a partner because I met him via way through Treasury in Lansing. And so I just want to say, Brian, you have done a phenomenal job with the district in partnership with your company and making sure that you kept us on track, giving us great advice, recommendations to the board. And so we celebrate you as well as far as the successes and highlights that you are going to share with the board and community this evening. And I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. I appreciate it. With me tonight is a new associate, James Shurji, who's been working with me for the last 2 years. Prior to that, if you remember, Allison Hayden was here. I think my company is the training ground for people in the Michigan Department of Treasury. State Treasurer was at Baird. She left in 2015 to go to the Public Service Commission and then became treasurer under the governor. And then Allison was 10 years with Baird, and then she went over. She is the director of the Bureau of State and Authority Finance. So she works on all the bond issues related to the state of Michigan. So she's now a client. A very hard client. Just kidding. She's a great client to work with. But I know that this summer when we were working on the sale of your bonds for the next phase of the capital improvement program, she was always still interested in finding out what was going on. Because also too, she is the one who signs the final qualification certificate to give essentially guaranteeing the debt service payments on a timely basis. So again, I have to say though, she is also part of your partnership, and we don't mind reaching out to her when there's something that's related to Pontiac. And we have in the past, especially this summer, we wanted to make sure we got the approval within the timeline because we wanted to issue it properly. So Allison's been a great partner as well. So Superintendent, yes, it's been 10 years. Cynthia, it's been 10 years. So and I've been 10 years. So but anyways, if you could go to the first page, and for those board members, this is a sense of pride and accomplishment. I mean, this is for all of those, this is part of your living legacy to those students who are not here yet, but who will be here, and those who have gone from here and who are here now. Please note that, as the superintendent mentioned, our job is to give you options. You're making the decisions, the tough decisions every single day, but you need the information. And so today is like our annual celebration of what has happened. And so this is written, there may be more pages than you think, but for those who weren't here in 2013 or 14, I always like to make sure there's context as to why something had happened, or just, oh, how did that happen? I remember it, but at least you can refer back to this. So, Robert W. Baird, we're headquartered, we're privately owned. So associates, 84% of the employees own the company. So we report to ourselves. So profit is not a motive, it's really doing the right thing. Great outcomes is great work. So it's great to be a shareholder, but this is the part that we like to enjoy. So headquartered in Milwaukee, but we're also based in Lansing. My office is right across from the state capitol, 1 block away from the Michigan Department of Treasury. The times that I've actually had to go down and sit with the superintendent of instruction or even the deputy treasurers with the school district in the past. But as I mentioned, there's a team. It's just not me. It's James. There's a quant person called Mark Ridgely. I mean, before we had Connor Sullivan. I mean, these are people that have essentially worked with you. So our point, as I mentioned before, is to essentially give you the advice that you can at least analyze as you move forward in the decision making. Turn to page 2. We kind of break in the past. We were really always so focused on the school district's general fund. So if you recall, years ago, you had state aid notes, tax anticipation notes, all these things. So here you are today. You just have really 3 obligations outstanding, the 2 emergency loans, and then you only have 1 bond issue, which is the 2022 refunding bonds. And the graph below is just showing a depiction of what is the projected annual debt service between now and the year 2045. And these are dollars that are going to be paid out of your general fund. Hopefully, there's an appropriation to eliminate your emergency loans, which would be
Already done.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's done.
fantastic. So once that happens, because with that, then you're going to just have left is the 2022 refunding bonds, and that's just the green bar. So each color represents the bond issue on the top. Turning to page 3.
I'm sorry. Because I don't want to because the community hears it and we say it, but can you tell us specifically what it means to you as it relates to the business you do with us to have that debt forgiven? Like, what happens with us district, as the district in your role?
So for right now, you'll see on this graph is that the green bars are the first obligation that is one of your largest obligations, but then the other 2 colors, the blue and gold, represent the debt service associated with the emergency loans. What this is going to mean is more dollars for kids in the classroom, period. And the emergency loans, by them being extinguished, say, that big, the last bar in 2031 and thereafter, it's like you're debt free out of the general funds.
Okay, thank you.
That's what that means.
That's what I want them to see. Because if you look at it from 231 on, that means it's clear.
Yes, those would be gone. And then also too, with those emergency loans paid off, the gold and blue bars prior to that would also be gone. That's just being layered on. That's principal interest too. So all you would have left is just the green bars, which is about 1.25 million that would be left in this financing. Please note it says refunding bonds. We have actually, over the course of refinanced this transactions 2 times. The whole purpose is to save money out of the general fund. So,
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Turning to page 3 is that in the past, you can see that there was 2 other sources of funds, is that when the district was short on cash in prior years, they had to use either state aid notes or tax anticipation notes. The district still does tax anticipation notes, but it's very quick. They are only outstanding while you're waiting for the taxes to come back in. But what you can see here is that on the top chart is that back in tax year 2014, you were borrowing about 14 million. Now all the way to next year, for tax year 2024, this is the next fiscal year, is anticipated about $8.5 or $8 million. That's still to be determined. Your capacity to issue a TAN is now up to 19.5 million. That's because your tax base has grown, but you're not borrowing against it. So you can see how you've gone from 13, almost 14 million down to 8 million in the last decade for tax anticipation notes. State aid note borrowings. This is where these are out of your operating taxes, and the state aid note is being secured by your state school aid. You can see that in 2014, you did your first state aid note of 6.7 million, went down to 4.5 million, and then for the last 3 fiscal years, you haven't used it. By not issuing a state aid note, you pay no interest, and therefore those dollars stay in the general fund for kids. Okay. And I remember working we used to have to borrow that money outside of the state. We got you into the Michigan Finance Authority's program, and we've worked really hard on all the things that have happened. So page 4 is what if you recall, you have your taxes. Some of your taxes are on the operating side are intercepted and sent to a trustee, and that was essentially because of the credit concern back in 2014. I've already been working with your new CFO and started the process of saying, we'd like to collapse this master debt retirement trust indenture. Taxes come directly to the school district, and then we just need to get some approvals from Huntington Bank, which I think hopefully that works out well. So, but what was happening is all this money was going into the master debt retirement trust indenture based on what bond issues or tax anticipation or state aid notes were outstanding at the time. This was called a waterfall. So who had first lien on those dollars? And as time went on, the only thing that you have outstanding right now is the green bars from the 2022. You issued your TAN last year outside the authority. In other words, it was not part of the master debt retirement trust. What that's telling me is that Huntington trusts you enough that they don't need the intercept. So hopefully we get to the next stage of saying they just need to, since they're the only holder of the 2022 refunding bonds, they can give you that same consent, and then that would go away. The tax intercept agreements would go away. Taxes would come to the school district. You manage the investment. You manage your own cash flow. You've come a very long way in 10 years.
Thank you.
You're putting me out of business. With joy.
Well, I guess
Turning to the next slide, in page 5, this is now going to your capital improvement bonds. This is the bond issue that was approved in 2020 for about $147 million. The bond issue is doing the facilities improvements throughout the district. In the first paragraph is kind of just giving you a little background. But there's been 2 series of bonds that have been issued, one in 2020 for about $90 million. We just closed on the second one this past June for $24 million. So that leaves about around 20 million left of authorization. But again, that's going to be working with your facilities team, your CFO, when you're going to need that next set of money. The goal, though, is that you can see in the graph is showing 2 things. The stacked bars are showing the debt service associated with the 2 outstanding bond issues, the purple and the pink. Those are issued. The dotted ones is when the 3rd series, or the last 20 million, is scheduled to be issued late 25, 26. And you can see how it just kind of folds in right on top of the next deal, but it's not going to be above the bar in the previous year. The line is representing the appropriate millage rate. So all these bars stack up right now. You're at 2 mils for debt. if your tax base continues to grow, this is what's gonna happen, is that solid light blue line is that you're gonna have what is called capacity under the 2 mills or whatever, that's what you're gonna have to add on. And it's with a conservative growth millage rate, tax base growth. I mean, we're not saying it's gonna be like 8 or 12% like you've enjoyed in the past few years. We're now to be back to 3 to 5%. Any questions on that? So that's a dedicated tax. You do receive those millages directly from the taxing jurisdictions. You invest it and then you make payments when that's due, and we're also working with Huntington as the paying agent on it. Turning to page 6, new authorization. If you wanted to look for additional dollars, and again, we're trying to come up with a grid here, is that if you wanted to do something in 2026, a couple years from now, is that if your tax base is growing at 3% or 4% or 5% annually, how much money could you borrow to keep it at 2 mils? So if your taxable value is 3%, to keep it at 2 mils or below, you can't borrow more than another 25 million. And that's because we've kind of stacked everything else. Your 147 is already there. If you have 4% growth, then you can borrow a little bit more because your tax base is a little bit larger, so you're around 33.5. And then if you wanted to stay at 2 mils for 5%, you're at 35 million. So you can see here's your range. It's just a grid. We also used an interest rate of 5%. We just something that would be fair for going back to the Michigan Department of Treasury for qualification. We're trying to keep you within the guidelines. Okay.
So let's just say hypothetically, we needed to do another bond, series, right? We know that we were only given what we were given based upon credit at that time and what we were able to do. We know there's still a lot more to do. Will this help at the pace and rate that we're going, will this help to allow Treasury to allow us to borrow against the full amount or the ask? Is that what I'm looking at right now?
What this chart is saying is that on the first row at 3%, you could borrow $25.5 million with keeping the total millage rate at 2 mils or below. Okay. Going to the last column over is that if you want to go to 50 million, i.e. 25, you're going to have to ask for a 0.42 mil increase right out of the chute. And that's because if you go to the prior chart, when you see the millage, it's pretty tight in the first, right up in 2026. Okay. Now, Mr. President, one of the things that you remember on the 147, the reason that we were able to keep it at 2 mil, we didn't issue it all at once. So there was a phasing in of it. So the biggest thing is when we asked for when the district approved 147 million, we were trying to make sure how do we phase that in, but then working with your facilities and your architect to make sure, okay, how is this going to be spent? Because there's two things. You have the federal tax code they have to deal with, one. The second thing is you have logistics of moving students around or doing things that I'm not aware of, but somebody else is going to have to give us how much. So if you could spend 50 million, but you could authorize 100 million, but you can't really spend 50 million of it only in the first year. You can only spend the first 50.
Okay, no, I'm cool. So I like the phases. I'm just saying, like, if I needed enough, we know we want to need more to finish what we ultimately designed the schools to be. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're tracking in such a way that even if we went back out, that we're not capped at a certain amount because of our credit rating or,
No, because one of the things is that by participating in the Michigan School Bond Loan Fund program, the state is there. And so on your existing 2 series of bonds for capital, you have a AA1, which is just below AAA. That's based on the state's rating. it would be nice to continue to work with Moody's or S&P, primarily Moody's, to see where you are on your own. It's just like, I hate to say it, a little bit more water has to flow underneath the bridge to get past what has happened. I mean, you really have done a tremendous job, but I hear a lot, well, we need another year of audit returns, we need this or that type of thing. You know, so it is going to be a continual labor of love with them. But the question is going to be, keep in mind too, is you can always ask for another $200 million, but you got to phase it. That's fine. That's not going to be a problem. The one thing I do want to say though too is with what we've learned here in the last, say, from COVID on to present, is that the cost of the project is going up faster than the cost of money.
Yes.
So the point here is, you may think you want to do the project, or you're concerned about the tax cost, the implication, but it's going to cost more waiting another year.
Correct.
Even with, say, today's 5%.
Yeah.
So you got to, so that's where the architect and everybody's going to have to give you fair numbers as to what that cost is going to be, deferring it. So like, for example, if the needs today are 100 million today, you really need somebody to tell you, what does that cost if I break up half of it and I wait 3 years? Is that 50 million now 75? So I really need 125?
Right.
That's the only way you're going to be able to make a judgment. And so.
As well as Treasury, they have this formula that we went back and forth about in regards to what they anticipate as far as your student population, will you need all of your buildings in the future that you're putting money into. So they also push back in some instances in regards to your audits and saying that you may need another year or two for them to review the audits. So it's a lot of things and variables that they take a look at when we go and ask for additional dollars from them. And they, you know, have that conversation, we push back, but ultimately it will be their decision in regards to how much they allow us to kind of go out for. And those are some of the variables.
No, I'm clearly aware, but
Yeah.
I just know that this time going back won't be like the first time. And that the plan this time going back clearly will assure what we need to finish the district. That's all.
Absolutely.
That's all. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, I was just gonna say, Allison's a good resource.
I'm glad, I am so happy she's in that position now.
Yes, she is. And you know, her team there is just, it's a great team, you know, she has on it. So starting with page 7 and thereafter, I think this is really just more of the partners that you've had at the district. I mean, Treasury, even though there's times it's been difficult. I remember sitting in a meeting one time and someone coming to me, he's like, please pull a bunny out of the hat, and like, you got 30 days to figure this out. That was former state superintendent, Mr. Rice. That was a tough meeting. But Huntington has been there. Capital One was one of the entities that bought your state aid note. So the Michigan Finance Authority, that's why I say part of Treasury, you know, John Barton was very helpful over there too. But the other thing is the other things that we want to talk about solutions. We talk about the master debt retirement trust and indenture on page 8, your cash flow modeling. We really were working all the time trying to figure out how to keep dollars in the district. Tax anticipation notes, state aid notes, emergency loans, the Mesa situation that was years ago, which is gone. It's going to really help even this year with your audit being done, and when you apply for qualified status, meaning that when you issue your next series of TANs or bonds, you have qualified status unless there's something in the audit. Because you were denied qualified status because you used to have a judgment. That's gone. I mean, these are the little wins after the fact that you can't forget, and that's why I think to some extent we keep putting them in here. And I think to some extent I kind of keep tweaking this a little bit to keep it current. ORS, that's been paid off. Disposition of excess real estate, sinking fund millage, you use that appropriately. So that's the end of Exhibit A. Exhibit B is just showing all that you have issued, but you can see a lot of them are paid in full. This is what you've done it on time, you've used a master debt retirement trust indenture to your advantage, actually. And then the credit rating history, this is where you are. I mean, we withdrew you from from Moody's is because you weren't ready yet to get the rating. You weren't really ready to say, okay, are you investment grade? I'm not sure you want to have that you're non-investment grade on your official statement. Don't want to have it. Let's have a little bit more time to make sure that it's prepared properly and go back and see where are you? And then talking about your district. And keep in mind too, there's some things that are not in your control. You know, you do pay dollars out from the state legislature to your state school aid in terms of retirement. That stuff is not in your control, but it's on your balance sheet. And so the last thing is, so since 2020, you do have the AA1 from Moody's from the state, but then there's no underlying rating going forward. But that can change. So again, I want to say thank you for the decade of having the opportunity to work with you. And then if there's any questions that you may have, please don't hesitate to ask.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that report. Any questions from the board at this time? Okay. No, go ahead, man. Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't the rating change? Why are we still, do you know what we can do better to get the rating from stable to?
So in 2020, you can see where we actually did a withdrawal of your true underlying rating is because if it's public, then you have to put it. I didn't want to give a reason to an investor not to invest in you.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was not investment grade, I don't want to have like a non-investment grade with a AA1 on top. We just want to show the AA1 right now. So as you keep going forward with your, elimination of emergency loans, all this is like, this is material impact, positive impact that is going to go for the rating agencies. Okay. And so the other thing though too is, how was your COVID funds? How are you going to survive after the federal dollars are gone? I mean, all these are the things that you and your peer group are going to have to, it is going to be addressed or looked at. So those are the type of questions that are going to have to be ready. Achievement, it's the same thing. Things that you've seen before, they're going to talk about as well. Okay.
Thank you.
And I think next time, a tour of a building would be nice.
Oh, we got you. We got you. We got you. We got you.
All right, thank you.
We got you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. Any questions again from the board? Comments? Okay. Wow. I just. Whew. Okay. We're going to move down to discussion item, retention stipend, PSD employees, select contractors, long-term substitutes, and contract ancillary staff. Presenting Ms. Kellum, Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. Just to give the community some information, we are coming down the finalized timeline of our ESSER dollars being spent. And of course, retention with staff has always been a consistent concern across our district as well as several other districts. We have decided with the board approval and action taking to gradually spend our retention dollars over the years to ensure that our staff stay with us and to make sure that we strategically align it to making sure these dollars are spent one time and not making empty promises to our staff, which some districts have done across the state of Michigan, where it will put them in a situation to have to lay staff off, remove staff out of created positions. Pontiac did not do that. Pontiac made sure that these dollars were spent as one-time basis. And now that we have come to the end where these dollars must be spent by September 30th of 2024, we would like to recommend the final retention pay to our staff to let them know we appreciate them, we want you to stay on board, and this is what will be the recommendation that we present to the board. And I'll turn it over to Mrs. Kellum at this time.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, President Garrett, Vice President Gross, trustees, staff, and community. This is our item for discussion and action, agenda item approval of retention stipend, PSD employees, select contractors, long-term substitutes, and contract ancillary staff. The background rationale reads as follows. In a productive effort to continue to retain our valuable full-time, part-time, select contractors, and contracted ancillary staff and substitute teachers in our district, administration is asking for the following retention stipend. Retention stipend to provide a $12,000 retention stipend to all full-time district employees and a few select contractors who regularly service our district. Must work until the last day of the fiscal year 24 school year, which will be June 13, 2024, or the district will recoup the full retention stipend. Provide a $6,000 retention stipend to all part-time district employees. Must work until the last day of the fiscal year, school year, June 2024, which is June 13, 2024, or the district will recoup the full retention stipend. Provide a $6,000 retention stipend to long-term substitute teachers and full-time contract ancillary staff. Must work until the last day of the fiscal year, June 13, 2024, or the district will recoup the full retention stipend. This bullet, I have a correction to this bullet. Your beer may read a little different, but I'm going to read the correction and then Cynthia will send it out later.
Not electronically. Okay, just the president. Okay.
So this bullet will say, provide a $3,000 retention stipend to part-time contract ancillary staff. Must work until the last day of the fiscal year 2024 school year, June 13, 2023. That should say 2024, or the district will recoup the full retention stipend. Retention stipend stipulations. Retention stipend will be paid out on December 8, 2023. Contractors and long-term substitute teachers are subject to vendor payment timelines. Eligible employees are those who are active on November 7, 2023. All eligible staff must acknowledge the terms of the retention stipend via an online contract sent to their work email, requiring an employee to click either agree or opt out and sign electronically by November 10, 2023. Any signed electronic contracts received after Friday, November 10, 2023 will be paid out on June 14, 2024. Must work until the last day of the fiscal year, school year, June 14, 2024, or the district will recoup the full retention stipend and your W-2 will be adjusted. Leave of absence returning November 7, 2023 through May 31st, 2024 will receive a prorated retention stipend on the June 14, 2024 paycheck based on the number of months worked. Must work until the last day of the school year, which is June 13, 2024. Or the district will recoup the full retention stipend issued and your W-2 will be adjusted. Anyone returning after May 31st, 2024 will not be eligible. Qualifying retiree employees who opt in to receive payment must work until the last day of the school year, June 13, 2024, or the district will recoup the full retention stipend and your W-2 will be adjusted. Funding source, it's ESSER $3. It is the recommendation of administration of the Board of Education discuss and approve the retention stipend in the amount of $7.2 million for all full part-time district employees, long-term substitute teachers, and select contractors and ancillary staff.
Let me quit. Anyway.
I'm dedicated to speaking last. Any comments or questions from the board at this time? Anyone? Okay. Going once, going twice. So my question is, let's have a conversation. So, auxiliary. So this ancillary, no, not even that. The stipend. Let's just talk about it.
Yes.
Were there any other options outside of just saying, hey, we want to give a retention pay? Could this money be used for something else?
So there are specific areas in the ESSER grant that specifies how you use the dollars. Retention is one, as well as a priority for most districts. A lot of districts use their retention pay to create positions, and now they have to lay those positions off because these are one-time dollars.
Okay, stop right there. I just want you to repeat that one more time.
Yes.
They did what?
They use the dollars as their budgeted items for a year, or so, creating positions, increasing salaries that would not be sustainable beyond these one-time dollars. So we selected,
Okay, so hold on.
yes,
So we had the option
oh, yes.
of saying, give raises,
Mhm.
right? One-time raises.
Correct.
And then we also had an option of creating positions
Mhm.
that would not be sustainable now
Mhm.
because of these are one-time dollars.
Correct. Or could not shift to grants, which Diane has done an amazing job working with Pete to shift dollars to grants.
So I'm just trying to, I'm very much in favor of this. But I just want the public to know that when people complain on social media of certain things that's going on in the district, and it's not factually based, and then they go out and then come here to try to influence a decision based upon their physical presence, it's very difficult when all of the teammates are not on the same page. So I'm just going to say that I'm grateful for the opportunity that we have to do this, but I'm also going to ask that you check your teammates. That you, the teammate of Pontiac School, the employee, the people who are helping moving this ship forward, that no longer allow people to badmouth where you work. Who work it? Because they may have come from somewhere else that may look a little different. Because I can creatively come up with some one-time usage of creating programs that we needed. But we bet on and we put our eggs in one basket and said, we're going to go with the people who are still working here. We're going to go with the people who are still charging ahead. We're going to go with the people who are still making it happen every single day for our kids. I just want you to clearly understand that we have options. This is not something that we're just doing just because it was recommended or anything like that. But we're not naive to what's happening when we do this. And at the time that we're doing, this is very intentional around this time. Because where you work is not like any other place. Now, we understand the difficult challenges that you come up with, and that happens when kids come into your classroom, et cetera, that whole thing, right? But you choose to work. We choose our job. I'm just asking, as a once in the district employee, will SRO get this? No. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm like, I quit today. But 2018, right? Like going back into the district, like working, seeing the things that happen. Like you can't come here and talk to me about what happens in this district, right? The culture, like the inner culture, and it really is getting better. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just telling you, check your people. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. And please, let's be who we say we are on and off the field. That's it. That's all I'm asking. Because you just heard from a presentation that was given. This is a city, but it's really a town. Like everybody knows everybody. That's one thing I love about it. Like everybody knows everybody. And I feel comfortable saying that when you come from inside the system. You know, that's the beautiful thing about working in the system and come and sit on the board. Like nobody can come to you and be like, I know they're telling on me, so. Sorry. But I appreciate y'all. We thank y'all for this recommendation. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. So, watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Approval of retention stipend. Need a motion on the floor for the approval of the retention stipend. Look at it.
You knew it was coming. Yeah, my fault.
I know it's coming. It's cool. I know. Huh? What? Man, please. It's gonna pass. I wish they would. Man. I put a motion on the floor to take my That's my guy. That's your guy. Listen, that's your guy. Need a motion on the floor. So it was moved by trustee Bowman, moved by trustee Rose, supported by trustee Bowman, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that is to approve of retention stipend, PSD employee, select contractors, long-term substitute and contract ancillary staff, man, and this is a wonderful thing that we could do. Superintendent, thank you again. It's my only comment to this is thank you for watching over your people.
Thank you.
Thank you for not being everybody else and just going with the quick studies. And when COVID came and they just started spending monies and putting out all type of spray machines and everybody started coming in with robots to come in and move in and all that. You didn't do that. And you looked out for your people and you took care of the people who take care of our babies. And I truly appreciate it. I do this with honor and dignity. And I'm just grateful that we got the opportunity to do this. That's it. No comment. No.
Comments? I'll wait till the end. Let's get it going.
I'm sorry. This happens in real meetings. I gotta defend myself. Like, I'm not playing with these people no more, man. This board is something different. Who's the vice president? Roll call, please.
All right, President Garrett.
Yes.
Trustee Gross.
I'm voting twice, yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Absolutely, yes, indeed.
And Trustee Davis Smith. Yeah. Passes 7-0.
All right, motion passed. Congratulations. This is gonna be a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I'm gonna tell you when it came up to that final number, because they had been going around with the numbers. I'll just be honest with you. I had been talking with him, and I'm like, this number can't be real. Like, this is not real. And then it was like they came back with the number again because it was a little different. And then they came back, and I was like, 12, you say 12,000? I was like, December 8th? And it was just like, oh my goodness. Like, yes. I just can imagine just what this does for the families in our district, right? You know what I mean? Full-time, part-time, like I know the people. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have done that. So, man. Okay, awesome. I'm sorry, Mr. P, I'm sorry. We're gonna go down to our monthly financial reports.
Okay, here we have our monthly financial presentation, September of 23. This was from last month that we reported to this month. So our first slide here is our cash flow in the general fund. Beginning cash investments as of September 1st, $16.2 million. Ending cash investments as of September 30th, $30.3 million. So that's a nice increase of about 14 million. Main reason for that is property tax revenues come in September, a big chunk of them, the September 14th due date without penalty and interest. So that's a big reason for the increase. On the expenditure side, we had the tax anticipation note payment of $3.3 million, and that's the last part of the $8.5 million that we owe for the year. So it's good news that we're getting that out of the way early, that expense. So that's good. Overall, a very healthy cash position in the general fund. Now we have our historic cash flow graph here with and without the tax anticipation note. At the top is with the TAN, at the bottom is without the TAN. The key takeaway here is that the purple bar which is our most recent, our current fiscal year, is higher than all the other bars in each month. That means our cash flow position is improving compared to prior years. And if you also look at the green bar, which is last fiscal year, that's higher than the preceding 2 years. So each year we get better with cash flow, as Brian was alluding to. Excellent news. The thing that's interesting at the bottom here, the bottom part of this bar graph, that's without the tax anticipation note. And with the exception of the first 2 years, the first 2 months, we're still in positive territory, which is really impressive. I mean, and we, the reason why we had it is because it's a small cushion, but it's positive. And now at the top, as you see, much more. We have a good cash flow. So as Brian was saying, our goal is to wean ourselves off the TAN and the interest expense and legal expense. So that'll be a part of our job here over the next couple of years to get out of that. But overall, that's a good trend.
Can we have a quick question to that tax anticipation note kind of point? Like, is there something where we can see if there are other districts who have a tax anticipation note, like who goes for it every year to kind of, is that something that
we could dig up that information? I mean, most districts do state aid notes, but tax anticipation notes are less frequent, but we can look into that.
And just the reason why I ask is because of there's been a conversation. I don't like repeating these folks' names.
Mm-hmm.
It's a certain school district that's within Pontiac. And they don't necessarily tell the truth about how they do business. But they always put out campaigns about negative campaigns and use word smithing in a sense to kind of be disparaging to us. And it's like, not that I want to publicly, come out with your, facts, but it's just more so for us to have, when we're out in the community, to have conversations when those comparables come up, because that often happens just so trustees can be able to say, no, that's not true. No, they borrowed this, or this has happened because it's really, we need to really start telling our own story now. We're getting to that point, like just having some information to say what we're doing and how we're doing it. Like this, your report spelled it out. You spell it out for us every month. But those things that, like a tax anticipation note, like to look at how does that look in other areas comparatively to what we're doing now, would help to have that conversation, community conversation.
Yeah, well, I think that's good information.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, our next slide is the general fund revenue. The pie charts, the one on the left is the first 3 months of this fiscal year. The pie chart on the right is September only. The main takeaway here is in blue, most of our revenues is property taxes at this point of the year. Don't have much activity with grants, no state report yet. So that's very reasonable and expected for this time of the year. Next, we have general fund expenditures, again, fiscal year to date and September only. The takeaway here is that orange part of the pie chart is the tax anticipation note payment, which we get back to. So that's, again, we were done with that. We paid the $8.5 billion off. That's great news. So that represents the portion there. The blue area is instruction costs, which is your teacher salaries, compensation, which started in September for this fiscal year. So they'll be getting a bigger part of the pie as we move along month to month. But other than that, the breakdown is very reasonable. Here we have our general fund budget to actual comparison in terms of where we're trending. So our current budget called for a small surplus of $239,000. The beginning fund balance number will be adjusted in my next month's presentation. Instead of being 13.7, it's $18 million. So that gives us a nice cushion moving forward to the fiscal cliff and without the ESSER's money that Brian alluded to. So we'll have a little bit of a cushion, but again, we'll have to be proactive in terms of how we budget in future years. In terms of The trend, we're pretty similar to where we were prior year. Total revenues running about the same. Obviously, your local taxes are going to be the biggest chunk there. Expenditures, a slight variation, supplies and other areas there. Basically, timing differences with purchases, but that's good that you're running lower with expenditures and about the same with revenue. So overall, everything there looks pretty good. Food service fund. So here we budgeted a surplus this year of 30,000. Again, beginning fund balance of 389 is not the current one or not the actual one that was budgeted back in May. The actual fund balance is only 25,000. That's because we took that huge loss this year in the fund. However, good news to report here, late breaking good news. We did our September monthly claims report for federal reimbursement, and it's 50,000 more than it was a year ago for that month. So if you take 50,000, extrapolate over the 9 months of the school year, that's 450,000 extra. So that would be a $90,000 net income compared to the loss. So that's kind of a good way to look at it, and we'll see how we move along in future months. But that's positive news at least for now.
Absolutely.
Okay, oh, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not. No, I just. We'll bring it up at the retreat. Okay, we'll bring it up at the retreat. I'm sure that. Did you get that, Mr. Treasurer?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
So now we're going to move to the sinking fund. So again, cash flow, beginning cash investment, 7.5 million, ending at September 30th, 10.2. Again, because the property tax collections is why we were improving our cash position. Only known expenditures is the science labs for the middle school, high school, continues to be the main focus of the sinking fund expenditures. But otherwise, again, we have a healthy cash position in the sinking fund. And now we get to our bond. So the Series 1, which represents $104 million of the $147 million issue. Series 2 is 25 million, Series 3 is 18 million. The column on the far right represents our total budget as of now for Series 1, and we're winding down the whole series, but we're showing a current surplus of $442,000 there in the lower right. However, when we look at the remaining contingency we have and the remaining funds we have to spend of $4.1 million, we have potential to be in a deficit of $3.6 million. So the way to look at this is the best case scenario is a surplus of $442,000, and the worst case scenario is a deficit of $3.6 million. It'll carry over to the next series either way. Sorry, go ahead. Okay, so that's where we're at with the contingencies. I need to note here in terms of what our main expenditures were: WHRC $31 million, Pontiac Middle School $20 million, Pontiac High School $51 million. That's been the focus of Series 1, which is winding down. And now we have Series 2 and 3. So again, column 4 would be the one you want to look at here. Total revenues, $55 million in terms of what's budgeted for, and that includes $11 million in sinking fund revenue we're transferring over. Expenditures, we're looking at a budget as of now of $64.7 million. Now, the key item here is a total contingency at the very bottom of $8.2 million. That's baked into the numbers, the expenditures of $64 million. That's part of that already. We included that. So that gives us currently a net deficit of $9.5 million. But again, there will be modifications, adjustments, more revenues potentially. We have time. We've just started the Series 2 and 3, so we'll be working on that.
Board retreat.
Board retreat. Okay. All right. Board retreat. Okay.
And just wrapping it up. So fiscal year. Other information, yeah, there we go. So again, we had the audit that we presented at the last board meeting, obviously, and we saw the results there. Emergency purchases that do not require board approval, there were none. So that's all I had. It might be questions, anything that was displayed.
No, and not at this time. No questions from anyone. We can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. on to a happier time. It's all right. Well, renewal of the financial advisory services agreement to Robert W. Beard and Company, Inc. It's a discussion item of the renewal. Superintendent or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so renewal of the financial advisory services agreement with Robert Baird. The background for this is since 2014, Robert Baird has served in the capacity of financial advisor for the school district. Baird has assisted with the financing and structuring of the emergency loans, state aid notes, tax anticipation notes, and the financing or refinancing of other obligations of the district. There's obviously your fee information under there. The recommendation is to approve the one-year extension of the financial services agreement with Robert Baird in an amount not to exceed $60,000. That's paid out of the general fund.
Okay, need a motion on the floor to approve of the financial advisory's service agreement. So moved by trustee Bowman, supported by trustee David Smith. Questions, comments, and concerns?
Well.
Surely not.
No, Mr. Beard, no.
Bruh.
We're good.
I cannot. We're not doing any more candy before board meetings, I'm telling you right now. That's true, we were. And I appreciate you doing it, because that whole presentation, thanks for doing that, I appreciate that. It is, thank you so much for doing that. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Vivi Gross.
Absolutely.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Trustee Davis Smith.
Yes.
And President Garrett.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right, thank you again for your services again.
Thank you, sir.
And I really appreciate passing that contract. Okay, we're gonna move down to discussion item TA with Pontiac Education Association, PEA, regarding amendment to the calendar. The presenter is Attorney Seeger. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Sure. The district has had discussions with the Pontiac Education Association as it relates to changes to the fiscal year 23-24 calendar. Those changes are reflected in the draft amended calendar that is attached to this bear. It is therefore the recommendation of the administration that the board approve the tentative agreement between the PEA and the district regarding the amended 23-24 calendar. The reason for this amended calendar is to reflect a change to the attendance of all students at school for the testing period in April for the standardized test. And although all students will technically be present that day, the students that aren't taking the test will hopefully be learning virtually. We made the request for those days, and that was the reason for the change.
Okay. All right, awesome. All right, we're gonna move down to discussion item number 2, will be the PAL After School Youth Sports MOU. Mr. Seeger.
So this is an amended MOU, if you will, with the Police Athletic League regarding some after-school sports programs that are sponsored by PAL. There was an MOU entered into earlier this year. This essentially is an amended MOU that supersedes the previous MOU and clarifies some additional programming that PAL will be providing the district. So the Oakland County Sheriff PAL program is a 501c3 organization founded by the Oakland County Sheriff, Michael J. Bouchard, in 2015. The mission of the Sheriff PAL program is to create a safe environment where law enforcement and community partners empower young people to reach their full potential through athletics, mentoring, and enrichment programs. This MOU shall remain in place through September 1 of 2024. PAL will offer and operate a minimum of 1 intramural sport each semester and summer at all participating PSD elementary schools, to include 1 session on site each week for 1 hour directly following the school dismissal. Suggested intramural sport seasons are as follows. are dependent upon space availability and participant interest from the district. Fall soccer for success, winter basketball and indoor soccer, spring soccer for success, and track and baseball in the summer. It is a recommendation of administration of the Board of Education to approve the PAL after-school sports MOU that will expire on September 1, 2024. And just also, the extent to which there are any costs for coaches that will be funded by PAL, the extent to which there are any costs for security or custodial services that the district otherwise it would not be incurring itself will also be paid by PAL. So it's really a win-win for the district.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions, comments from the board at this time?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Trustee Terry.
Just for clarity, could you, I guess, identify those additional programs that will be getting added?
The main one is elementary basketball, which is going to be starting, next week, week from today. And that will be in all the elementary schools. And I think also the spring soccer is something that they are, I believe is going to be new as well.
Thank you.
Baseball is new too.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Gross.
That pretty much answered my question pertains to ages. We also have involvement with our athletic director with this, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
yes. Thank you. Okay, in fact, the AD has identified contacts at each elementary school to be the point person for PAL
Wonderful.
interviews.
Trustee Crab.
Okay, will our kids be identified by their school, or will it be done through a PAL thing? Would it be, let's say, Harrington School or Rogers School, even though it's under, guidance of the PAL program? Or will it be identified with that? Because we did a lot in branding.
They will be identified by their schools.
And everyone.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I'm not going to address the elephant in the room. I appreciate this opportunity. Anything that happens for our kids, that's going to be a win for Pontiac School District children, is a win for me. There is no exception. And so I appreciate working through this, of course. To watch what happens with our kids during these particular programs are very exciting. So you get a chance to really kind of look at it and watch them and how they grow through the program. I saw twins who are over, I think they're Harrington, and now, I mean, they're on their way in the 5th grade now, right? And so I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the opportunity, especially the youth baseball, like T-ball, those whole things, getting ready to use that field, soccer, and of course, elementary basketball, in which our kids learn fundamentals, and we can really kind of start our feeder program into our actual middle school and going into high school, right? So that's it. We're going to move down to action items. Approval of the TA with the Pontiac Educational Association, PEA, regarding amended FY fiscal year 23-24 calendar. Need a motion, please. So moved by Trustee Bowman, supported by Trustee David Smith. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Trustee David Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
And VP Gross.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, thank you. Need a motion on the floor for the approval of the PAL after-school youth sports MOU.
So move.
So moved by Trustee Gross, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, and I will be abstaining because I am a PAL board.
Yes.
Roll.
Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Bowman.
Yes.
Trustee Pratt.
Yes.
Trustee Davis Smith. Vicky Gross.
Yes.
And I'm voting yes. Passes 6-0.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna move down to curriculum and instructions discussion item, the art experience, Kennedy contract amendment. Dr. Leverett is the presenter, superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, President Garrett, Board Trustees,
Good evening.
members of the community. This is the Art Experience contract renewal. Background rationale, this contract amendment is to increase the current year contract from $24,250 for 9 sessions or weeks for 10 weeks to $72,860 for 9 session/weeks for 30 weeks. This contract will provide weekly sessions of supplementary art and music intervention to Kennedy Center 180 and 200-day program students. Funding source, section 31A at risk. Recommendation is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education approve the contract with the Art Experience for the amount not to exceed $72,860.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments from the board? Why did we adjust it from 10 weeks to 30 weeks?
It will extend the contract until the end of the school year for the students too.
No, I'm saying like, why did we, like, was it something from last year that we needed to do that we found out that we probably wanted to take this longer? Like, I don't know, that's what I'm asking. Like, I just wanted to know, why did we go from 9 weeks to 30 weeks? Like, that is a,
It was this, so we started off with a partial,
okay,
agreement for half the year. We got up to the funding that we needed for the 72, which is, from grants, and that's why it's now going to be extended for the full year versus half year. And it's been very successful in the past.
No,
So we
no,
had it
I
last year,
support it, yeah.
full year.
Yeah.
And then this year, monies that were released, additional dollars, we were able to extend it for the rest of the year.
Okay, awesome. And that was under, ESSER dollar?
That's under 31A.
31A?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, any other questions? Nope. Okay, thank you. Need a motion on the floor for approval of the art experience at Kennedy contract amendment? So moved by trustee David Smith, supported by trustee Terry. Questions, comments, or concerns? Wait a minute. How much money did we spend so far? He just said he approved it. Okay, all right, cool. He got like, he got like a $3 million threshold. He ain't spent it. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, roll call.
Trustee Bowman. Trustee Pratt.
Yeah.
Trustee Davis Smith. President Garrett.
Yes.
Vicky Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes, and Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna move down to operation maintenance item, permission to allow sealed bids for WHRC doors and windows abatement. Presenter is Mr. England. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Mr. England.
Good evening, everyone. Robert England, Facilities Director. Tonight we have discussion in action for the Pontiac neon sign.
Yes.
I know, this is a discussion and action item for seeking permission to allow our environmental consultant to prepare and release sealed bids for WHRC doors and windows abatement. The WHRC doors and window replacement project is scheduled to start in February of 2024. Abatement is needed to remove the current windows and doors, and the district is requesting permission from our environmentalist of record, Arch Environmental, to prepare and go out for sealed bids for the abatement of WHRC doors window replacement. Arch Environmental will also provide oversight for the abatement portion. Arch, to oversee the project is $8,500 that will be included in this cost. The estimated budget for the actual abatement is for $600,000. As we talked about in one of our meetings, that this is ESSER funded. About $685,000 is allocated for ESSER. $85,000 is from a previous project. And this $600,000 is the estimated budget for from our environmental consultant. It is recommended that the administration at the Pontiac Board of Education approve the environmentalist of record, Arch Environmental, to go out for bid for the abatement of the WHRC doors windows project that is scheduled to start in February. So we'll be posting this in the Oakland Press and then bidding that, and we will get this out to bid pretty quick. Hopefully coming back to you before Christmas for approval to move forward with the abatement project.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the board? Once? Okay. I got a question. So how did Arc Environment come up with to oversee this project for 8,500? Like, if there are abatement of record, like, wouldn't they already be on retainer?
If they are, and that's,
Right.
their costs are pretty low. They do some air monitoring, after abatement, and they do the actual oversight of the contractor that we award to. Very similar to our CM. They oversee the project, we own the contract, and Rosie and his team do the air monitoring and oversight of the abatement project.
I'm clearly not understanding.
Okay.
My question is,
Yes, sir.
they are retainer, you said yes. So if their retainer is supposed to help us, is to cover them when we do projects, because they're our abatement company on record,
Oh, I'm sorry.
then why are we paying an additional oversee this project for 8,500? Who are we paying that to?
Yes, sir, I apologize. We do not have a physical cash retainer. We approved them as a professional service to oversee our abatement projects. Their cost estimate for this project to oversee it is $8,500. It may come in a little less or a little more, but that's the estimate.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to move down to approval for permission to allow sealed bids for WHRC doors and windows abatement. Need a motion on the floor, please.
So move.
So moved by trustee Gross, supported by trustee Terry. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Crack?
Yes.
Trustee Davis Smith?
Yes.
President Garrett?
Yes.
VP Gross?
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry?
Yes.
And Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, awesome. We're going to move down to communications, petitions, and delegations. Mr. Vice President.
Sir, we have no cards this evening.
Okay. More comments and more comments and announcements. More comments and announcements. Superintendent, do you have anything? We'll start with you. Do you have anything? Staff, you have anything? No? You sure? Okay, all right. Okay. Sue,
Like, where you going?
like you got something? For real? No. Okay, let's start with trustee Kraft. How you doing, sir?
I'm great.
What's going on with you?
I had a wonderful meeting. I just a wonderful meeting. And like you mentioned, President, about the candy and everything, guys, you could really tell. But I still like to congratulate the young Bowman student that was here and his father that was here, showing support. And I mean, those are the good stories that we have in our school district. And those are the things that I like to relay back to our community. I'm gonna be short and brief. Monday night football tonight.
Stay basketball.
Yeah, right.
Man, y'all are horrible, man. Y'all are horrible. Trustee Davis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to say congratulations to Conley Bowman again. And I'm excited that we were able to approve our retention stipend for our staff and teachers and everyone. And this was a great meeting. I was happy with the money, of course. I know Treasurer was as well. So thank you, everyone.
Woo-wee. Trustee Bowman, how you doing, man?
This was an excellent meeting, and everybody stay safe. Good night. Great.
Thank you. The treasurer. Gotta come on like a theme song. You know, start playing the song.
I don't know why I always come to the money when it comes here. I don't get that part.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
No comment.
That part. Go ahead, no comment.
Just once again, congratulations to Conley Bowman. Keep up the great work, and wish you the best going forward. In regards to all the other reports we received, thank you. I love hearing good updates, positive information. I'm sure you guys can go back and watch the video at home and recap all of the positive things that we got going on right now for the school district of the city of Pontiac. We're doing great things. Obviously, we came a long way. Kind of get in where I fit in, and obviously, I guess it's this finance thing. So I'm gonna continue to do my best with that, and let's continue to push forward and do great things. Thank you.
Madam Secretary.
Good evening. Again, congratulations to our student from Pontiac High, Conley Bowman and his family. And also just a big shout out to Superintendent for really looking out for her people. So good job. Thank you for that.
Mr.
Mine
Vice
is not
President.
so short.
Oh,
No. You just took from me. I was gonna thank you for, first of all, I wanted to give all the money out. You remember that? And you listened to me and you did give it all out. Now everybody happy. Everybody is happy. Man, I saw some happy faces in that crowd. My phone was going off. You did what? Yes, it has been signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered. Good evening. I hadn't started yet. Oh, we good. No, I won't take too long. No, you know, I'm truly excited about these meetings that we have. Not only because we all say again, remember our last time I talked, I said, we always say these are excellent meetings and great meetings, but I forgot one thing too. They're always informative. And where I'm going with this, Sue, is I'm usually here when we have our meetings or closed sessions in half an hour. Right before the meeting starts, gets set. Well, I got here about 5 minutes to. Only because I was out in the community defending us again. And when I continue to hear that, what do you guys doing? Where's money going? And I always say to them, tune in to Monday night's meetings and you'll be able to get all the information you thought you heard. You did. One, we toot our own horn with our financial reports and monthly, we come out with our reports. We had an outside entity to come in to tell us how well we have been doing. Not we're doing, how well we have been doing. And I focused in on one of these pages, Mr. President. And I wish it was like this in my household where I saw these three great words. Paid in full. PTE, paid in full. Consumers Energy, paid in full. Credit cards to Macy's, paid in full. But I continuously talk with these individuals who I consider, associates, used to be friends. I hadn't seen them in a while, but they're still talking 1982. So I say to them, and I say to you, share the word, get the word out, these things are on film. You can go back and look at everything that was done tonight. And most of it was not heard by these 7 people here. So please do that. Mr. President, I don't mind telling people, right? Doggone it, it really pisses me off. I'm not supposed to say it again. It really angers me. When I continue to keep explaining myself. But I thank Bear for this. I'm taking this home. I'm going to laminate it, and I'm going to show it around. So if someone says this, I'm going to put it in their face. Paid in full. And what we've been doing. Now, great meeting. Everyone's going to have a great Christmas, except for those who don't go in there and hit that I agree by November 8th. They're going to be hotter than cayenne pepper. And they ain't getting nothing until July. Steve Gross. I'm just saying, I didn't mean to say his name. I didn't mean to say his name. But please, hit that I agree button. Your Christmas is going to be wonderful. Now, lastly, I want to send out my condolences. This is a second friend of mine who I graduated with, the class of 1980, a very good friend of mine to the Gregory Bachelor family. He is a 1980 graduate of Pontiac Central High School. Went on to Flint, at the engineering school in Flint, and did very well. He's also a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. But he's a good brother, and he passed on this morning from cancer. And I'll be out of town when the services are in, but I have someone that will be there before me. And I want to send my condolences out to his wife, Doris, and his son, and that we will continue to have them in our prayers. And I just want to thank God for the years that I was able to have with him. And that's what's important to me, because I have great memories, great friends. And I thank all of you for listening, and I appreciate you. God bless and good night.
Thank you, sir. All right, no problem. Again, great meeting. Thank you all for what you did today, what we did for our staff, our students to help moving forward. The only thing that I have is to the family and friends of Desiree Childs, the principal, Mr. Montgomery. My heart goes out to y'all over at Pontiac High School. We're not supposed to be burying 16-year-olds. And I remember when she was born. And I'm getting to the point now in my career where I'm starting to see things that I'm not supposed to see, and I'm not supposed to have to deal with. I'm gladly to report that we do have two in custody, and we believe that we have the right to responsible for that. So if you want to share that, you can, as we get into details. Because it may not be able to bring, it's not going to bring her back. But for me personally, it gives a little edge to some type of justice, because you know that something was done. I want to thank this board for allowing me to transform into that other occupation and still keep going. Superintendent, thank you. It is not something, I ain't gonna lie, I used to like doing it. I don't like doing it no more. And it takes even at turning 49 years old, it takes a hard time to come back to normal. And so be grateful for the things that you don't see. And be grateful for the things that people who put their life out on the line to make sure that people aren't going to go into those dark caves and we got to do what we got to do, right? And so you take care of our babies. And so when I say I appreciate that, like I truly appreciate that, because y'all don't, it's not easy seeing what y'all see every single day either. So for that, to Nicole, to Romel, to Mr. Lee, thank y'all for allowing us to have Desiree at the time that we had and spent with her. She'll be forever 16. She'll be forever remembered. And again, thank you to every staff member here that has to deal with what our kids come to school with. And that's a lot of pain, and y'all up for it though. So I don't mind giving the stipends and the kudos, and I just believe we do have the right people in place. I believe that. And as my colleagues often tell me, Gil, sometimes we may not, we're all going in the same place. That is there certain ways that we have to get there. So as a leader here, this is the best seat in Oakland County, in the world, as an elected official, is being on the school board. Not necessarily the president, I'm not gonna tell you that, but You get beat up a lot, as you can see tonight. But it's sitting on the school board, guiding education, along with the individuals, the professionals that we have in this district, man, by far. I'll challenge any other district out there. So, and I promise you that. So, I appreciate y'all. I do. I really do. And with that being said, please give me a motion to adjourn. So moved by trustee Goldman, supported by trustee David Smith. Questions, comments, or concerns about the adjournment? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee David Smith. Yes. President Garrett.
Yes.
Trustee Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Bowman. And Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:39 p.m.
Thank you.